Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I am joined this evening by my good friend Callum. How are we doing today?
All the better for being on the channel again, bro. Fight week, baby. Let's go.
It's fight week for UFC 294, and it's not being your typical build-up towards UFC 294. We've had co-main events falling through, main events falling through, backup fighters being discarded, replacement fighters coming in on 12 days' notice. So, and arguably, you could say the card looks better than it was before. I don't know not that you would agree or
I
disagree.
do. I love Oliveira is my favorite lightweight, but this card could be the card of the year potentially.
Potentially carded yet. And let's start no further. Then the top of the card, Islam Makhachev making his second defense of the UFC light-heavyweight. Light-heavy.
Like that would be something. Like, I'd pay to see
He
that.
does walk around about 200 pounds, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe one day he may get there, but no, he is making his second defense of the UFC lightweight title against Alexander Volkanovski in a highly anticipated rematch from their fight back in, is it February that they had their fight in Australia?
Was it January? I feel like it might have been January.
It was very early this year that they had their bout in January. And Callum, your thoughts when you heard that Oliveira fell through and Volkanovski was the replacement, taking the bout on 12 days' notice, considering that he had surgery literally about 3 to 4 weeks prior, had elbow surgery.
I was extremely shocked. So, firstly, when I heard about Oliveira, I was extremely disappointed because I do think he's got the best set of skills available to beat Makhachev in the 55-pound division. I know he didn't show it in the first fight, but I think that is because he was in the same way that Izzy suffered. I think he was being too active as a fighter. And as much as we love that as fans, for an athlete, I think there is such a thing as being too active when you're fighting at the upper limit of the elite standard of MMA. And I think the fact that he took so much time off before fighting Dariush, he battered Dariush and beat him in the first round. And then coming back for this fight, I thought, yeah, we're going to potentially see the best version of Charles here and the best version of Islam. And I'm here for it. But we did the watch long for Makhachev Volkanovski. If I'm not mistaken, we both scored it for Volk as well. And we both said they need to run it back again. They're running it back. So, yeah, we lost out on Charles. But for me, this is the next best thing.
Yeah, it's definitely the next best thing. And I guess it's going to be different than the first fight because Volkanovski is taking his bout on 12 days' notice. I think at the moment he's about 180 pounds at the start of the week. So he has a little way to cut. Islam, I don't know what he weighs this week, but typically out of competition, he does weigh around 200 pounds. So they're both going to have, I wouldn't say difficult weight cuts. Probably Volkanovski more of a difficult cut considering the time he sort of left himself. But thoughts on Gamrot being completely overlooked? Like if I'm him, like I'd be either, because I think he's back. I think he's the backup still. I'd be demanding a little bit of extra money.
Here's the thing, though. Gamrot fought Dariush and he lost, and then came back and fought. Was it Jalen Turner?
Yeah, that wasn't exactly what you.
And even then, I thought he lost the fight as well. Jalen Turner is just about in the top 15, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think you can make a case for Gamrot to get the title shot before Volk here. Realistically, it should have been Gaethje jumping in next. But
yeah, BMF by belt.
I don't even blame Gaethje because I think Gaethje knows this is his last title shot attempt. So he can't just make the BMF decision. He's got to make a smart decision, in my opinion. And I think he did that because he fought Khabib, he lost. He fought Charles, he lost. If he fights Islam and loses, that's his last title shot.
Yeah, I think he's also admitted that this is his final run to the title. Like, if he loses, that's him done. But where obviously Volkanovski, he's stepping up. He was originally supposed to fight in January. It's not. It hasn't been officially confirmed, but that was definitely the heavy rumor that he was going to fight Ilia Topuria for the featherweight belt in Canada. Rumors that Volkanovski does still plan to fight in January, which is crazy considering how active he is going to be.
That's wild.
And what about the rumor that if he was to lose, I think he said that he'd take some more time off if he was to lose. The rumored one was going to be Holloway versus Topuria. Like, your quick views on that before we get into like predictions. Like, is that just another contender that Max can beat to go, all right, Volk, I think I can beat you this time?
So I think it's not a smart move but saying that, it would be reminiscent of Dricus du Plessis versus Robert Whittaker. No one gave Dricus a chance in that fight. Everyone said he was silly for taking the fight because he pretty much had a guaranteed title shot because Izzy wanted to fight him. Took the fight and he beat Rob, and he beat him quite comfortably. This is slightly different though, because we just know what Max is. If there is anyone in the 45 division that can actually stop Max from strikes, even though that chin is goated, it probably would be Topuria. But I just don't see the point in doing the fight, because if Max wins, Volk literally has no one to fight in the 45-pound division, and you hold up the division.
Yeah,
it just wouldn't make sense. So look, let's say Volk pulls it off and gets the win, and he comes through this fight unscathed, and then he's able to fight in January, then the fight makes sense for Topuria. But I wouldn't hold my breath on it, because fight in October, and again, he just come back from injury as well. I don't think he gets out of this fight unscathed.
Yeah.
And so I don't think he should even be thinking about January right now.
No. So let's talk about the fight itself. We know that it was a really cagey, really a technical fight last time. Went to a decision that edged in Makhachev's favor. Volkanovski has come out and said that is like his aim is to knock him out this time. Like, he doesn't want to get to the judges' scorecards. Do you think that's a wise decision, considering that he is going to be in 12 days notice? I don't believe him when he says he's come off the couch, because I think he's also admitted that he has sort of kept his eye on it should anything happen. So I think he's ready. Like, so I think he's gone through a mini camp ready for if anything was to happen, he was going to get the call. So I do think that this is going to go to the judges' scorecards, or do you think someone is getting stopped?
So I think Volk's approach to the fight is the absolute right one. I just don't think he should have said it publicly. So, but again, that's how confident he is. And look, if anyone can do it after saying it, it's Volk. Volk cannot afford, in my opinion, to get into a 5-round war. He's got to end it quickly. And I'll be honest, I think he gets it done within 2 rounds.
Oh,
I know. And maybe I'm going with my heart. Maybe I'm going with my heart here. I think he gets it done in 2 rounds. And if he does, it opens a can of worms in that 55-pound division, because then you're asking, is Gaethje get the next title shot, or is it Charles? Because Charles should have had the first title shot. Then you ask yourself, but should Volk go back down and defend the 45-pound belt first? So does that mean Gaethje versus Charles 2 to determine who's the number 1 contender, and for the BMF belt as well?
But if Islam,
but then if Islam wins, again, you still got the same conundrum. Is it Charles or is it Gaethje? And then you've got Volk saying, right, I'm going back down to defend 45. If I defend it, do I then go back up to 55 again and actually become a contender and try and work my way to a title shot again? There's a lot of variables, which is why I think the fight is so intriguing as well.
I think if he does win, because obviously we said in yesterday's show, when this comes out, this will be in the afternoon. So last night, I said that I think he gets performance of the night because I do think Volkanovski is going to get the job done. I do think that he will knock him out in, I wouldn't say the second round. That's been very, very optimistic. I'm going to say he's going to knock him out probably in the third or fourth. I'm not saying that Islam's got no chance of winning this whatsoever. I'm not
I
saying
wouldn't
that
be surprised if Islam did win.
it would not surprise me if Islam catches him, he drops and finishes him like that, just like he did with Charles. So that won't shock me either. But for me, Volk's got nothing to lose.
Yeah,
He's got nothing to lose.
it makes him dangerous.
Everything to gain. But yet again, you could say to Islam, he's got everything to lose and not a lot to gain, really.
Yeah.
Because everyone's expecting him to beat Volkanovski in 12 days' notice. Like, I think Islam will be disappointed if this goes to a decision because it shows that he's probably not got the job done as well. And plus, won't be in the corner, but he is in training camp with him. So I think that's where Khabib was like, King Kong can make 155, bring him here. So he's confident in his boy that he's got to get it done. But I do think, should he win, I think he will defend his featherweight belt. I think he wants to be an active double champion, something that I don't think any of the men double champs have actually successfully defended both belts simultaneously. It's only been Amanda Nunes that is successfully defended both her belts.
Hold on, did DC? No, DC didn't. He was 2-division champ, then he defended against Derek Lewis heavyweight, but didn't defend the light heavyweight. He relinquished the light heavyweight.
It. I would have said Henry Cejudo, but he won I think he won the 125 against TJ.
No, he won the 125 against DJ, defended against TJ, and then went up and won the 35.
Oh no, actually I lied. He did defend it simultaneously because he beat DJ for the belt.
Yeah.
Defends against TJ, wins at 35, then defends that. Yes, sorry, he'll be the second.
Yeah, I suppose. Saying that though, when he went up to 35, he didn't go back down and defend the 25.
That's very true. But our final prediction, I'm going to go third round knockout Alexander Volkanovski to really cement his status as one of the greatest MMA fighters of all time.
I'm going round 2.
Getting round 2.
Round 2.
Let's hope so. We're going for the main event to the co-main event. Another shake-up in the cards.
Massive.
This
is the one.
This is the one, isn't it? This is the one. Originally, it was going to be Paulo Costa and Khamzat Chimaev in his middleweight debut. Paulo Costa decided to have elbow surgery about 3 weeks before. Elbow wasn't healed up. Doctors pulled him, which is the correct decision. We have to say correct decision to pull him out. Sort of thinking, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Jared Cannonier? Is it going to be Marvin Vettori? Is it going to be Robert Whittaker? No, it's only the former welterweight champion, former pound-for-pound king, Kamaru Usman.
Second best welterweight of all time.
Second best welterweight of all time going, no, I said I wanted to fight him, and I'm going to step up and fight him. What was your thought of him taking the fight? Because I was like, okay, I'm definitely here for it. And then on the back of that, winner of this gets the next shot at Sean Strickland.
All right, that's the bit I don't like. I don't like the fact that the winner gets a title shot because neither of them have campaigned in the weight class, and there's other fighters such as Dracus, Jared Cannonier, who I think are being overlooked that shouldn't be getting overlooked. So that's that. But the fight itself, I am so here for it. And look, in fact, I'll just circle back to that last point as well. Effectively, if Khamzat beats Usman and gets the 85-pound title shot, he would have won 2 fights in that division to get the title shot. And those 2 fighters, one of which was Gerald Mershaw, who wasn't ranked in the top 15, and the other would have been Usman, who wasn't ranked at middleweight at all. That for me is a bit of a travesty. That kind of craps all over the ranking system and
The only thing that I would
everything.
counter out to that.
Mm.
Okay, we'll look at let's say the top 6, right?
Yeah.
So who's going to fight Paulo Costa? Izzy's taking a break.
Mm.
Don't know when he's going to be back. I have a feeling Dricus's injury is a lot worse than we originally thought.
Or is he just getting punished for not taking a fight?
Or he's getting punished. I'm probably going to go with his injury's a lot worse than we thought. Robert Whittaker got badly knocked out last fight, so you're not going to give him the title shot on the basis of that. You're not gonna give it to Jared Cannonier is the one that I actually do feel sorry for because he actually beat Strickland before Strickland went on his search for the title.
Yeah.
And then Marvin Vettori, let's be honest, he didn't really have a great performance against.
Cannonier was backup fighter for Strickland Izzy as well.
Yeah, so the only one
That's how Colby got his title shot.
So, and then Paulo Costa, he's injured, he's not going to get it. So the only one out of the top 6 that I generally feel sorry for is Jared Cannonier because he should be getting the belt next. The rest of them are either injured, just been KO'd last bout, or taking extended leave. So, and then when you look down the rankings, Jack Hermanson, one that I would have liked to see personally, Brendan Allen, ran the back as a rematch, but yet again, he needs to fight someone a little bit higher up if we can give him the title shot. So you look at it, you're probably thinking, yeah, it makes sense. If Usman wins, you can fight it back with Sean Strickland, now the weight class. Usman's got a win. So on paper, it looked like a shitty decision to make it a number 1 contenders bout. When you look through the situation at middleweight,
yeah,
you can sort of understand why they've done it. Okay, if Dricus was 100% fit and ready to go, and then he gets overlooked, then I'd be like, what the hell are you doing, Dana? But there's no update that he's even recovered his injury yet. He could still be in rehab. So we don't really know. That will be my only rebuttal to it. Like the division, there's no clear number 1 contender that's actually fit and ready to go.
True.
Probably early next year.
But I mean, does that still stipulate that they get a title shot off the back of it? Because I don't see the harm in the winner fighting this fight and then taking one more fight middleweight to get that title shot.
That's what Dana said. I'm only going off what I think. A quote from Dana saying, yeah, winner's going to get a belt, barring any injuries. So if anyone get injured, then obviously we're back to the drawing board. But yeah, back to sorry, I'll let you carry on because I rebutted that about the...
But the fight itself, though, it's about as good as you can make it. Like, you'd arguably say 2 of the best wrestlers in the whole of the UFC, 2 fighters who aren't scared to fight anyone, 2 fighters that are usually the hammer instead of being accustomed to being the nail, 2 very strong-willed fighters and 2 extremely confident fighters, 2 fighters who effectively basically kill themselves to make 70 who are now fighting at a more natural weight for them both as well.
Yeah,
this has all the makings, in my opinion, to absolutely be one of the best fights of the year.
100%. 100%. It's an interesting one because if I'm Kamaru Usman, because I think him and Burns were training together.
Yeah, which is nice to see.
Which is nice to see. If I'm Kamaru Usman and I'm doing my training on Khamzat and I'm watching his fights, I'd rewatch Burns and Chimaev, and you look about how that fight was going, how Gilbert was stunning him with the jabs and stuff like that. And we wouldn't say that Burns is an elite striker. He's got heavy hands, but we wouldn't say that he's an elite striker. We know that Usman's jabs developed a lot. So I'm sort of saying like that's probably a blueprint. That's probably his blueprint to probably beat him by decision. Would be to look at the game plan. Look what went well for Burns against Chimaev. He's not invincible. Chimaev really struggled trying to take him down. Like, you couldn't pick him up and slam him down at will like it did the Leech,
Yang Li. Yeah.
which he absolutely mauled.
Yeah.
And plus, they're going to be similar sizes. And Burns is a blown up lightweight. If we're going to keep it 100%, it wasn't
Yes.
like a
Yeah.
natural welterweight. He is someone that, to be honest, he probably kills himself to get to 170, to be honest.
Yeah.
So that's probably his blueprint to win. Because, yeah, again, I know that everyone's got the Khamzat hype train. He's still pretty unproven.
He is.
Pretty unproven, which is mental because he's being talked about as like, this is the guy. This is the
but he is pretty unproven.
I'm going. I've only seen him against Burns, and he did sort of struggle a little bit. Like, it wasn't like convincing. And what, a 17-second knockout against GM3? Is that supposed to tell me much? Sort of thing. But
what I am finding though, bro, Makhachev fought Bobby Green before his title fight and hadn't fought anyone in the top 10 or let's say or the top 5.
Yeah,
Sean O'Malley only fought Peter Yan, who was in the top 5.
And that was arguably a very dodgy decision.
Very dodgy decision. Got a title shot, won. Khamzat hasn't or wouldn't have fought anyone in the top 5 of the middleweight division. And if he wins this, he gets a title shot. I think the UFC are being very strategic in how they're positioning some of the fighters. Now, obviously, this isn't scripted like all WWE, and I don't sit here and for 1 minute and think any of these fights are staged or anything like that. But I think the UFC are being very strategic in how and who they push.
Oh yeah, it's obvious because like you see the way that you see something. I'm trying to think of one that really sticks in my mind.
I'll go. For example. Look at Merab.
Yeah, I'll go with Merab. They don't really want to push him. They're sort of giving him fights that are going to look boring on the eye for us to go, F this guy, man. We don't want him.
Yeah.
He's boring. And then you're giving him people like a Sugar Sean, giving him like the stand-up fights that we're going, okay, we see the vision with him. We like him, sort of thing. So yes, the UFC does have a lot of power in how they influence, especially us, to push behind certain fighters.
Yeah.
And Khamzat is definitely a one that they're trying to position him to really push towards. And speaking of push towards, I'm going to need to push you for a prediction, Callum, for this.
I hate to go against him. I've got to go against Kamaru. I've got to go for Khamzat. I think he's the younger man. And I think on such short notice at a higher weight class, I think he's all wrong. I think he's all wrong for this fight. I think if he had a fight camp, then I think so. But no, I'm gonna go Chimaev, unfortunately. But I'd love Kamaru to pull it off.
I'm gonna go opposite. I think Usman's experience and we've spoken to Jamie Phillips, our good friend Jamie Phillips. Usman does have a bigger back catalogue at 85. Yes, has been outside the UFC, but he has got a bigger back catalogue, and I think his experience is going to get him over the line. And I think Usman's going to win by unanimous decision. No, actually, like split decision. Be split decision win over Khamzat. It's gonna be a barnstormer. It's gonna be a ripper. But I think Usman's gonna get the job done and hand Khamzat his first professional loss. The last fight we're going to preview on the main card is, to be honest, no one has spoken about this fight. This is Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker. You talk about should this be a number one contenders bout for the previous fight. This one is a number one contenders bout, I believe, for the next shot at the UFC Light-Heavyweight champion. Get the champions right now. For me, I said it on the stream we did last night, that for me, this could potentially be the fight of the night because no one has spoken about this whatsoever. We've all been so busy about the decision changes, and this is Ankalaev's first fight back since that absolute stinker of a draw. I completely forgot what happened.
I actually don't think the fight was as bad as Dana made out.
I think I was just asleep.
It was a tough fight. I don't think it was as bad as Dana made out. I think Dana was just annoyed that it was a draw and he couldn't, like, no one won the belt.
I think got annoyed that people were booing Paddy because it was the same night.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah. He was just on a rotten mood that night.
Yeah, and obviously Johnny Walker, like, he's on a good run. At the moment, I've been highly critical of him, and his coach Kavanagh has that camp sort of like run its course, because usually camps like coaches go in like a cycle, and I was thinking maybe the coach Kavanagh, the Jim and I, maybe they've passed it. Obviously, shows how much I know. Because he's having a resurgence at the moment.
He is.
And I'm really happy for him. Because when he came in the UFC, he was a very hyped prospect. I remember when he came in, he was dubbed as like, this is the guy to beat John Jones. This is the guy. This is the guy. Oh, we found the guy that's going to beat John Jones. And then Corey Anderson went, no thanks.
I was on that hype train as well. I was. I'll admit, I was like, yeah, do you know what? Finally, John Jones is going to have someone that can compete with him and going to have a fun fight. Corey Anderson turned up and said, no, he ain't that.
Hold my beer.
Hold my beer. And then he celebrated how he would celebrate if he won the fight as well. I was like, yeah, that was rough. That was a rough loss.
Yeah, and plus, at the moment, he's currently on, I believe, he is on a 3-fight win streak after losing.
Some good stoppages in there as well. Paul Craig, he beat Anthony Smith.
Beat Johan Kutalaba submission back end of last year. Then he knocked out Paul Craig. I believe that was in Brazil.
Yeah.
Yes. So that was the Brazil. That's first card of the year. They all walked out after. Who lost? I think Glover lost, didn't he?
Yes.
And then obviously they beat Anthony Smith. Weird ass fight. Smith was saying you hurt my kids or something like that. Wife and kids.
Yeah.
What the F? It's got CTE.
Yeah.
Yeah. Predictions and how this one goes, and do you think this will be the number one contender bout for the winner of Yuri versus Pereira in November?
I think Ankalaev wins the first 2 rounds by just holding him down. Johnny Walker in the 3rd round knows he has to go for it, and I think he gets a dramatic KO win or TKO stoppage in the 3rd.
I'm going to go TKO stoppage in the 2nd, but I think he's going to guess the takedown and knee him right there.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go Johnny Walker. Don't do the worm. Please don't.
Yes, just stand there and celebrate. Don't jump around and flap about.
Don't do the worm.
And I'll be honest, him versus Alex Pereira or Yuri Prohaska is extremely fun.
Take my money.
It's extreme. It might not be it's not going to be a technical fight as much as you got a John Jones. It might be one of the most fun fights you can make in the division with those 3 fighters.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, yes, there are other fights on the card that you haven't covered, and that I may cover towards the back end of the week, whilst I do a little bit more research. But yeah, I just want to say a massive thank you, Callum, for joining me.
Thank you, bro.
For the preview. Make sure everyone to check out the Sanderson Show. Link will be in the title. Also, check out Kopish as well. Matt, Drifty, Callum for some great content. Callum, anything that you want to shout out before we end?
Yeah, shout out to this channel, Luke Tanner. Subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment. That's me. Subscribe to this channel, guys. Without Luke, the Sanderson Show would be nothing. So, every time I'm on here, I'm gonna plug it until this channel starts to grow like it should.
Yeah. And everyone, thanks for tuning in, everyone. And we will see you all very soon.